Number one, Stephen pointed out how easy it is for gratitude to die when it is not communicated to the next generation. And that's something that we need to remember as well. We've talked about this in the past couple of weeks as well, but one of the things that we need to remember is the importance of passing down our values, passing down our history, passing down our faith to the next generation, because Stephen pointed out how easy it is for gratitude to die when it is not communicated to the next generation. What does he mean? Well, Egypt owed its entire wealth and success and fame and fortune to Joseph, who told them the meaning of the dream and told them what they should do about it, and then supervised it himself and made Egypt wealthy, made it the kingdom that it was. And yet the Bible says there arose a king that did not know Joseph. So Stephen points out how easy it is for gratitude to die when it is not communicated to the next generation. When he says, then a new king, to whom Joseph meant nothing, came to power. And he dealt treacherously with our people and oppressed our ancestors by forcing them to throw out their newborn babies, the males anyway, so that they would die. And so Stephen pointed out that while God has a plan for each of our lives, things might not go so well when we try to rush that plan. Wait on the Lord, the Bible says. Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. But make sure that God is the focus of our lives and not our own personal desires. Not the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. And so verse 22 through 28 we read, and Moses was educated in all the wisdom of the Egyptians and was powerful in speech and action. And when Moses was 40 years old, he decided to visit his own people, the Israelites. He saw one of them being mistreated by the Egyptians, and so he went to his defense and avenged him by killing the Egyptian. Moses thought that his own people would realize that God was using them to rescue them, but they did not, because it wasn't his time yet. He was rushing God's plan. And then the next day when Moses came upon the two Israelites who were fighting, he tried to reconcile them by saying, men, you are brothers, why are you trying to hurt each other? But the man who was mistreating the other, the bad guy, pushed Moses aside and said, who made you ruler and judge over us? Are you thinking of killing me as you killed the Egyptian yesterday? And then Moses realized that he was going to be tried for killing an Egyptian, which nobody was allowed to do because they were at the top of the food chain at that time. And so he fled. Even as a son of the Pharaoh, he fled to avoid the punishment of the crime of killing an Egyptian, not being an Egyptian. Third thing Stephen pointed out was that God is best able to use those whom he has allowed to learn humility in spite of circumstances. See, what God cares about is not just knowledge. What God cares about is not just ability. What God cares about is not just leadership. What God cares about is the heart. What God cares about is genuine humility. The recognition that I am nothing aside from God. That all good that is in me is there because of God's goodness to me and not because of my own works of righteousness. So Stephen pointed out that God is best able to use those whom he has allowed to learn humility in spite of circumstances. So 5, Stephen then alludes through the life of Moses to how easy it is for people to know the truth but willfully reject the truth. Willfully choose to reject the truth. Again, I don't think people are noticing just yet, but he's slowly sticking in biblical theology. He's slowly sticking in the Messiah. He's slowly sticking in the fact that they're rejecting Jesus as the Messiah and that Jesus actually was, in fact, in truth, the Messiah. That the reality is they knew he was the Messiah. They just didn't want to give up their power. So Stephen alludes through the life of Moses how easy it is for people to know the truth but willfully choose to reject the truth. Again, hint, hint, to the Sanhedrin who were actively and knowingly rejecting the truth about Jesus as the Messiah. He said, but our ancestors refused to obey him. Instead, they rejected him, Moses, and turned their hearts back to Egypt. And they told Aaron, make us gods who will go before us. As for this fellow Moses who led us out of Egypt, we don't know what happened to him. And that was the time that they made an idol in the form of a calf, something that they placed as more important than God who delivered them, which is what the Pharisees and Sadducees were doing. They were placing their own position of leadership and esteem as more important than obedience to God.